And so I thought I would provide some high-resolution photos with a little bit of verbal narration of what's going on. Here's the first photo here of a dark angel after I have dry brushed him with Dark Angel's green. I dry brush the entire area in a heavy dry brush, let it dry, and then I move on to my next step. From there, I work on to the snot green, and I dry brush that on also quite heavily, and once I dry brush that on, I let that sit. Now if you're wanting to go in the direction of salamanders or one of the other green chapters, you can either stop here with the green, or you can go a little highlighter with goblin green. It's completely up to you how you want to go. This next picture here shows the what I do after I dry brush on the snot green is I go back over with a heavy wash of Dark Angel's green, and what I'm doing is I'm tying the color back together and bringing the color down while tying the snot green into the tonal qualities of the Dark Angel's green. Next step in painting them, I put down some bolt gun metal, and I put that to the metal areas that we see on the figure. This is a Mark 6 Marine, so he has the metal fasteners across his chest, so I do those in metal, and then I go and I just put it all together. This next photo shows what happens after I apply some Badab Black Wash to the areas. Just basically puts in the dark areas and brings out a little bit of the highlights. And here's just another photo of the same thing. Usually after I do the bolt gun metal areas, I will do chest eagles. Since the Mark 6 Marine does not have a chest eagle, I switched over here to a Mark 7 Marine and his chest eagle. I start by just applying graveyard earth onto the area of the eagle. I also apply graveyard earth onto the parchment strips of the purity steel. From there, I go and I just put bone white, and one could dry brush it, but I like the more control and less splatter of just controlling and going and hitting the edges with a brush and bringing out the highlights of the chest eagle. From there, I add a little bit of skull white, and once again further drawing up the highlights of the chest eagle. Next step is, of course, I do my bolters in the classic Dark Angel style of the red bolters. Red bolters are really easy to do. Mechrite red, slap down, and I also put the red on the Mechrite red onto the purity seal. After that, I hit it with a wash of Delvin mud and let that dry. And I do the same to the purity seal. After that, I go back in and I hit the highlights of the edges of the bolter with a little bit of highlights with blood red. Next, I go in and I start doing the highlights on the metal, and I just pick that out by hand. It's real easy, real quick. In this photo, we see I start using scorched earth, and I use that on the bags, and I also use it on the skull details because it's a good base color, base tone coat. Next, I go in and I start working on highlighting up the skull. Skull's real easy. You can use the bone white or any bone colors and just kind of work it up. Make sure to leave the recesses like the eye socket and the nose cavity in the scorched earth color. And I do the same on the side of the bolter. If you notice here on the side of the bolter with the skull detail and the wings, I just use that same technique, and if you'd like, just go back and review the place where I'm talking about the chest eagles. Next, I start highlighting the bags. The bags were, as I said, painted scorched earth, and then from there, I use bestial brown, and this is just showing what the bestial brown does. This is a highlight of bestial brown plus a little bit of snakebite leather. Actually, no, this was bone white. Sorry, and bone white, and I don't leave it at this state. I will go back in and do a wash, typically of the scorched earth, and what that'll do is it'll tie everything back in together and naturally blend out the stark contrast of the highlight that I have going on here. And then we have here going in and doing the details. The details are really pretty simple. When you're doing words on arm plates, always, piece of advice I heard from a heavy metal article years ago is start in the middle and work out. As you notice, I use the genitive form of the word Lyra, which is a constellation, and it looked cool, and I thought it. Once again, it's that generic Latin that looks cool on GW stuff. And then I also went in and I did the purity seal with some writing. I used my technical pen to do this just because this is a quick job. I'm not really trying to do anything impressive or anything like that. Well, that wraps it up, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment here on the blog, and we look forward to hearing from you real soon. Thanks.